This week, our nation mourns the loss of our 39th president, Jimmy Carter. With grief comes reflection on his life, a life well lived. There's no doubt President Carter made an impact on scores of Americans. As for this senator, in 1976, I was on the ballot as a congressman for Iowa's 3rd Congressional District, and of course, Jimmy Carter was on that same ballot. Now, he and I were bit by different political bugs, but we have a similar foundation. 2 small-town boys anchored in our faith. As the only sitting member of Congress today who served with the Carter presidency, I remember him fondly. Maybe a couple times to remind you about. I don't know exactly what year it was, but I was in Iowa. He made a phone call to me asking, he was on his way to Nicaragua to observe whether or not a presidential election at that time was going to be a fair election. He asked me if I would go along with him, and I said the work of the Senate doesn't allow me to do it at that particular time. So obviously I regretted that. Another time he asked me, I think this was in the 2000 period of time, maybe around 2003, 4, 5, he asked if I would come and speak to a Baptist group in Atlanta, Georgia, that he was leading, and I had that opportunity to be there and to have private conversation with him and his wife, the former First Lady. Now, Carter answered the call to serve his nation in many different ways. We remember as a naval officer, his call to serve in public service, as our President of the United States, and his call to serve those in need after leaving the White House. 1 Peter 4, verse 10 says, quote, "Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms," end of quote. The light of the Lord shone through President Carter's life of service. He used these gifts to serve others even beyond the borders of the United States. We say goodbye during this time to this man of many talents. We know about his background as a peanut farmer. We know about his background as a naval officer, and more famously as our 39th president, and lastly, as a home builder as he worked through organizations building homes for the needy. Now we remember him as he is in his heavenly home now.